I want to make sure so I'm doing this for 3 reasons. Number one, obviously we did our co-author book, Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominating the Speaking Industry. And so I want to use that as a platform, as a means of reconnecting with every single author, as a way to strengthen those relationships. I'm in the publishing space now. I have opportunities that I can provide for individuals that want to be published authors or even want to, increase their visibility. So I want to start off with that. That's number one. Number two, to be a resource for you. Obviously, you're doing some great things with my wife. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to see how we can level up on that. And then there may be some people in my network that could benefit from what you do, or in your network that can benefit from what I do. So just really putting us in a position where we focus on building that relationship. So I just want to let you know that up front.
Yeah.
And then with this is a platform to increase your visibility. So really wanting to add value to you.
Absolutely. I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. Obviously, I'm familiar. I think even before the book, I was familiar with the work, and of course we connected through BSN, and you are also doing some great things. So I'm always excited to connect.
Thank you. So wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to officially get started. Okay. So welcome to the Author Spotlight. This is a part of the Self-Published in 30 Days podcast. And so we're excited to have Tiffany Bethea on with us today. And so Tiffany, if you don't mind, because one of the things I love to do, I know we had you send us your bio and everything, but it's better when people can share a little bit about themselves from their voice and their passion. Talk to us about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I got to say thank you for having me. It's a joy to come onto your platform and share. Let's see a little bit about me. So I am an author, best-selling author, award-winning coach, branding and marketing, and I am the founder of Kingdomboss, which is a global collaborative community for kingdom entrepreneurs. It's specifically our goal to help first and second generation entrepreneurs at least create their first 6 figures in business. Nice. So we work with them on building purpose-driven and profitable Christ-centered businesses.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what got you started in this realm? What made you want to even go in this direction of launching your business and even becoming an author?
You know what's funny? I really stumbled onto all of it, to be honest. My first book came out in 2012. Okay. Yes. And I didn't really know what I was I just knew, I wanted to tell my story. That's all I knew. I learned what I know now, which is that being an author is incredibly powerful.
Right.
That, your book is a key that literally will open up doors. And so being intentional, I learned to be more intentional about that with the later books.
Yeah.
I had no idea how powerful being an author would be, but I quickly learned that when I put that first book out. And honestly, the first book led to speaking engagement. It literally kicked off the platform that's kind of been rolling ever since.
That's good. That's good. So you talked about that was a kind of a tough process when you got started. So for those who are brand new watching this, that are new authors or aspiring authors, what nugget would you give to that individual that's just getting started with the author process, the process of becoming an author?
Oh boy, one nugget. I mean, Lord, let me pick one. You know what? I think I would say that commit to your mind and heart that this is a marathon and not a sprint.
Right. I like that.
Especially with books. I mean, that applies to so many things in business, but you could be 1 year just really saturating the audience with one book. And I see so many people who will put out a book and they're already writing the next 2 and 3. And I'm like, that's great, but don't take your attention off of really taking this book as far as you want it to go before you put out the next one. So understand it's going to take time, and really enjoy and relax and be present in that process.
Yeah, I love what you just said in terms of it being a marathon and not a sprint. I think a lot of times people think that, I just put some words on paper, I get the book done, and then that's it, right? Yeah. But there's a whole lot more to this process even after you're done. So let's talk about that, right? So you've had the opportunity to kind of work on several different book projects and stuff. So after your first project, what was it like to even get that book out to the market? I mean, like what, you know, and I'm not looking for trade secrets, right? But I am looking for you to share, like, what was that journey like? You talked about it being a marathon and not a sprint, you know, for you to focus on taking that book and putting it into the market. What was that experience like for you once you finished your first book?
Yeah, so I did the first time being inexperienced, I did what a lot of folks do, which was kind of go to my warm market. I think that's as far as I had envisioned and thought about it. You know, let me call my family, my friends. I had maybe a little baby social media following, no email list. The Lord have mercy.
Mm,
So, you know, that's what I did at that point. What I know now to do is, you know, be building an audience. Part of that marathon is really building an audience for who's going to want to read this book,
right.
past the family and friends and the cousins. You know, who really cares just about the messaging that I'm putting together in the book. Writing and publishing is one part, but building the audience of people who will read it is a whole nother important part.
Right, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, you've since, like you said, you worked on a number of book projects. Let's talk a little bit about some of those projects. You know, let's be
Yeah.
specific. Let the audience know what you've got, you know, going on, so we can support you.
I've had the joy of doing some books on my own and then co-authoring. So obviously I was a part of Speak Up, you know, the Black Speaker Network book. That was an honor and a joy to write about coaching. That was my topic in that book. I've also been a part of a compilation called Mommy Divas on the Move. So myself and a number of powerhouse women wrote about being a mom in business.
Mm,
One of my latest books was Kingdomboss. I wrote by myself. It's a devotional for Christian entrepreneurs. That book I was probably the most intentional about because I knew, actually released that book in 2016 when I founded Kingdomboss. And that's, I would say of all of my books, that's the one that has turned into the most streams of income, turned
that's
into
good.
coaching, events, the whole nine. But I knew when I wrote it that I wanted to position it that way, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's
All of
good.
my books haven't been that way. Some I just wrote from the heart and wanted to share. That one was one of those like positioning books, you
So let's
know.
talk about Kingdomboss. What is Kingdomboss, and who is your target, and how can someone, you know, benefit from Kingdomboss?
Yeah, Kingdomboss is the assignment that was laid on my heart. If it was up to me, it wouldn't have existed. But God was like, look, sis, I need you to get this done.
Yeah.
And so it really is a combination of my two worlds as and marketing and branding for 16 years and a minister of the gospel for what, 13 years now. And so I realized that there was a space needed for people who wanted like biblically based business education.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you've seen this, but there's a lot of stuff out here in the entrepreneurial world that sometimes can clash with our values,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And so I started realizing that, wait a minute, there's a space of people who say, I'm gonna do this business, but even in this, I wanna do this God's way.
Yeah.
But you know, the other part to it too was that I was spending so much time on business development, right? And like marketing and sales. I felt like I got to a space where I was dropping seed on concrete.
Mm.
Meaning, like I
Yeah.
would
Tell me what that means. You got to
go
break that
deeper.
down. Come on,
Okay.
break that down for me.
I feel like I was talking to people and I would say to them as a part of their marketing strategy, I think you should do a video blog, or I think you should do some speaking. And they would give me this deer in headlights, like all this fear would come up.
Right.
And then, Robert, at that point, I couldn't just be marketing coach Tiffany. Then I had to be minister Tiffany and say, wait a minute, we got to address what's this fear that's coming up? What's going on? And I said, you know what? I'm tired of giving marketing strategy to people who aren't at a place developmentally to actually implement it.
Right.
And so Kingdomboss honestly deals with both. We're going to give you the strategy. We're going to tell you how to write a funnel, but we're also going to tell you how to become the CEO you need to become to actually make this work.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Now you also have outside of the books and you know your coaching, you also have events, right? You're doing events and things of that nature. Let's talk a little bit about that, and you know what was the inspiration behind, you know, that event?
Yeah. So one of our biggest events is the Kingdom Boss Summit, which we haven't had in a little while. You know, COVID, and even before COVID, we had taken a year break, which turned into a couple years, obviously. So we'll be hosting our next one next summer. I'm super excited. And you know what? One of the other things that's big on my heart for Kingdom Boss is connection, right? So that's why I love this. And so I wanted to create a space not for people to just, you know, get the webinars and the workshops, but to really meet some other people to create synergy with and to partner with. And so all of our events on some level foster connection, because I see a lot of people who are islands out here.
Right.
Where in the faith world, it's like, well, it's just me and Jesus. Yeah, that's not scriptural. You need people.
Right.
It's not just you and Jesus. You need a community of people. And so the Kingdom Boss Summit, we also do a business exchange meetup on two different levels. Honestly, at the end of it, they're both really designed to help people foster connection.
That's good. That's good. Now, one of the things that I read about your bio, you are a mom, right? So you're building your business. So let's speak about that. We have a number of people who are mothers, they're parents, you know, they're building a business. They may not have got into the author space yet, or they may have. Let's talk about that experience real quick. Like, what would you say was the number one challenge that you had to overcome being a mompreneur, right? So we hear people talk about that term mompreneur, mompreneur, author. Let's talk about what's one thing that you had to overcome and how did you overcome it?
Oh boy. So I am a single mompreneur.
Okay.
And I started my business right after being divorced. My parents are still married, which is a part of my story. I'm a third generation entrepreneur. So I saw one thing and then I didn't realize my journey would be so different, you know? So even when my last Kingdom Boss Summit, my mom and I were telling our stories, and she shared how when she went to work full time at the church, my father was able to hold the house down while she did that. And I was like, well, you know, let me provide a different perspective for those in the room like me who were like, oh, there wasn't a second income when I started. I had to grind to keep these lights on. Right. And so I think that was my biggest challenge, was accepting my circumstances and saying to myself, I can still do this. I'm going to have to just do this a different way than I envisioned. And I think maybe that's not your story, that you're a single mompreneur or parent, but there's some obstacle that you didn't necessarily think would be there. Maybe time, maybe income, whatever. Could be a special needs child. And you're like, how am I going to do this with this set of circumstances? Right. Once I surrendered in my heart that I can still do this, it may take me longer, I may have to go a different way, but I can still do it. That's when I was able to figure out a strategy to get it done with my set of circumstances. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. That's good. So a few more questions for you. I want to be mindful of your time. You're a coach, right? And so you wrote about coaching. What is the most important thing that an author should do if they don't have a coach and they want to get one? Because clearly, you know, you and I, we're both coaches, so we know the value of coaching, but there's some people that may not understand the value of coaching. So two parts. What is the value of having a coach? And then how would you advise someone to find a coach?
Yeah. You know, Tony Robbins says that when you invest in a coach, if you do the work, which is huge, right, that you can find that they can, you could see an ROI, return on that investment, up to 7 times, which is huge, you know. One of my coaches said that coaches are cheat codes. And then my client said this, like last year, like recently, one of my clients said, we were on a session and he said, you know what? I feel like we're getting your gain without the pain. And I said, I'm going to have to quote you on that because you're right. I'm showing up and I'm teaching you all of these principles. And now you can go out and not have to make the mistake. But I took the hit. It cost me thousands of dollars. Years to make these mistakes to be able to teach you, and now you get to accelerate that time. I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm going to coach you on that. So I think that that's the value of having a coach. It's a cheat code. People say, you know, experience is the best teacher. Well, they leave off the B clause. It doesn't have to be your experience.
That's exactly right. Yep.
You can learn from my mess ups.
That's exactly right.
That's
exactly right. That's exactly right.
When it comes to getting a coach, that's so vast. I think that the two things I would tell people to look for, number one is like, what's your specific industry?
Mhm.
Because while there is, marketing is marketing, branding is branding, depending on the industry you're in, it may be a little bit different. You may need some very information that's tailored to that.
Right,
And then also, what stage of business are you in?
right.
If you're just getting started, you don't need a coach that can help you to scale. You don't have anything to scale yet.
That's right. That's right. That's
You
right.
don't have consistent sales. You aren't making at least maybe around 50 plus thousand in your business. We don't have anything to automate yet. So I think you got to look at, where am I in business? What do my numbers say? And if you're just getting started, get somebody who can help you just getting started. You're already making six figures, get somebody who can meet you there. Figure out where you are, and then find somebody who works specifically with that.
That's good. That's great advice, Tiffany. That's great advice. So I've learned that authors are also readers, right? So, you got some good authors, and then good authors are readers. So rapid fire around here.
Okay.
Who is your favorite author, and what book was the inspiration that, what was the book that made them your favorite author?
Man, it's funny that you asked that, because I have an issue with favorites. My family is like, we can't ever get a straight answer. I never have favorites. But if I have to pick, I may say Napoleon Hill, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I think that I've read, I read a couple of books, but I think it was Outwitting the Devil that did it
Come
for
on.
me.
Come on.
Right?
Come on. Come on.
Oh.
I love it.
And that book changed so much in me, even as a parent, and just how I saw the world, that I think that probably bumps him up on the list.
I love it. I love it. If you had the opportunity to write a book in any country, or let's say city in the world, you take your laptop, whether you take your son or not, was up to you. What city would you want to write a book in?
I would say Venice. And I think that because I love water. Like, water just relaxes me. It does something for me. I had a water birth for that reason. Like, I love water. So I think I would say Venice. Just be out on a boat on the water and just write. I would love that.
I love that. I love that. Okay, good. So Venice. Okay, good. Napoleon Hill. We got some things in common. My wife loves to travel. She wants to go to Italy and France. So that's good. We might have to travel together, right? All right, good stuff. So let the folks that are watching right now, let them know, number one, how can they find you? Okay, and whether it's your website, social media, whatever, let us know how can they find you. And then what is one last nugget that you want to leave this person that's watching this video now, or watching this podcast, or even listening to the podcast right now? What's one nugget? So let the folks know how they can find you. Okay. And then what's one final nugget that you'd want to leave the listeners and the watchers today?
So let me start with website. You can go to kingdomboss.com to learn more about the community, the resources. Ironically, Robert, we actually have a library on there too. We recommend so many books in our Clubhouse Club that we were like, let's actually create a space where you can get these books. So all of that's there. On social media, all of my handles are at Tiffany, the letter L, Bethea. And that's probably the best place to find me. The one nugget, I think this is something I say a lot, so this came to mind. For the person who's trying to decide what to write about right now, I always tell clients, you probably have 5 books in you that you could write about right now. And instead of trying to just, and sometimes what I see people do is write a book and it's really 5 books. It's a lot.
Right.
I always say to them, from the perspective of positioning and marketing and your voice, what do you need to be heard on right now?
Right.
Don't just sit down and start writing your story, but how do you need to position this? Your story is too big to fit it all in one book.
Right.
What do you need to be known for right now? Write the book to position your voice that way. That's
I love it. That is great advice from Tiffany Bethea, or Tiffany Bethea, whichever one. She answers to both. Okay, so you heard her live on the author's showcase, and where the spotlight is on her as the author. And we are very excited here at Self-Publishing 30 Days to be able to feature authors that are making major moves. So, hey, if you want to hear more about phenomenal authors like Tiffany and others that are going to be coming, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Make sure you connect with us on Clubhouse, and definitely check us out on YouTube and LinkedIn. I'm your host, Rob YB Youngblood, the president of sales for Self-Published in 30 Days. And I'm also your LinkedIn locksmith. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.